Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we're in this really awkward orbit here, but I've found a potential solution for it. It's difficult to work, but we can potentially burn here at this descending node and pull back our ascending node like so. We're going to have to throw in a fair amount of retrograde as well. So we pull in a lot of retrograde here and a lot of this direction. So the retrograde pulls us in like so. And can we close that, please? Thank you. The retrograde pulls us in, and then we flip our inclination here as we come in. And I was able to find roughly previously, and we'll see if we can actually figure out where that was. But previously, I was able to find approximately 800 meters per second that brought us almost exactly to even here. So we bring this in like so. Maybe a little bit more one of these directions. Like I said, this is difficult to work because we're not exactly on that point. But at this point, we would then bring this in a little bit prograde, actually. And I tossed in radial there. I did not intend to do that. We bring this in a little bit prograde, and we're going to have to compensate for that. But we look for a timing around here. And we're going to have to continue to change our ascending node here, which we can definitely do. There was a timing that I found, but I decided to redo the node, and I decided to do it on camera like this. But there was a timing that I found that was very, very close to being workable. Okay, so approximately this, but I do want to bring that periapsis back out a little bit further. Okay, and that's 2 degrees there, so we will have to compensate for that. That's what makes this complicated, is that moving any of these changes our actual lineup pretty dramatically, and at this point, now we need to go for timing, and it was right about here that I found it. 30 kilometers out, 762 meters per second. Now we have about 1600 here. So that would leave us just a little bit in the tank to bring that a smidge closer. So we could attempt to fine-tune that, but it's going to be tough to get that any closer than what it is. So we might have to say 30 kilometers is close enough, and we'll just have to use what we've got left in the tank. Okay, so we've got that set up. I'm going to quick save here in case we run into any physics krakens. I want to double check that unbreakable joints, that was the wrong button, that unbreakable joints is still on, and it is not. Okay, so we'll turn that on just to make sure that nothing krakens out here. And we're going to head over to this maneuver node. This is going to be a slow turn that we likely can't do anything about. But this is actually a much better encounter than I expected to find. So that's great. Again, we could maybe try to fine-tune it timing-wise, but that's very, very difficult at this point. It's incredibly sensitive, and there's not too much that we can do there. We could go into the graphical maneuver editor, maybe. That's just orbit time. Yeah, that's not super helpful. Okay. So we'll just get rotated on over here, and we'll call this good enough. The real question is, can we burn infinitely with this clamp on? That I don't know. I actually want to control from here. There we go. Because you can see this is at a bit of an angle. I don't want to control from that grab. I want to control from this point, in theory. It should be lined up basically with the center of mass. So, let's just get turned on over there. I'm going to turn on RCS for the moment. And if we need additional thrust, we can always thrust with RCS. We do have a lot of that left, but that's not very much throughput on the thrust, right? So that's the primary concern there. But this is a pretty decent encounter, and that would leave us with like 30 meters per second left. Plus the meters per second that this guy has. So there is that. But it's going to be interesting trying to nail this actual burn. We'll see what happens with that. This burn is going to be in 43 minutes, or it's going to be 43 minutes long. Oh. Are we thrust limited? We are not thrust limited. That's just going to be a straight up 43-minute burn. It's going to be in 4 hours. Okay. I'm sitting here thinking that I have to stream today, and that's going to be a very lengthy burn if we can't physics warp it. So maybe that's not a today sort of thing. I don't know. If we can physics warp it, it's maybe okay. But that is an incredibly long burn. That's for sure. I wasn't expecting it to be 43 minutes. Time constraints could definitely be interesting. Well, we're heading over there right now. And I mean, realistically, it's not perfect on the node. We could maybe try to tweak that node a little bit. That's the alarm clock. Can we... Okay, get out of here. Where's the alarm clock button? I always forget. It's this one. Okay, let's hop in here and attempt to tweak this node a little bit. Okay, and then bring this guy out this way. No, that's too much. Okay, is that going to be any closer together? That's a negative. Okay. Well, we're going to have to try to bring that back in, and the way that we'll do that is just by bringing this guy in slightly and doing something kind of like this. Actually, that's 17 kilometers. That is a better encounter, and it's less relative speed. Just seeing if we can tweak that down a little bit. That is slightly better. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that does save us a decent amount of speed there. This seems viable as long as we can actually hit this burn. So let's go ahead and warp to it. That was sketchy. I did save. I'm going to save again. And let's see what happens here. It looks like some of these are needing to be re-engaged. So I'm going to cancel this. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. Awkwardness is ensuing. Okay, let's try to freeze that a bit. And we're going to re-engage these guys if we can. And I want to... Actually, it's not currently grabbing. But that's fine. We're swaying all over the place right now, which isn't hugely shocking. I'm going to release this one. And we'll see if we can re-grab that. We're going to bring this one back. And release. And then bring it back in. And just let it gently grab. There we go. Cool. I believe this one is grabbed. This one needs to be redone. Okay. So we'll release that guy and move it back in. Very gently. I see that we're swinging here, which I don't love. Okay. We'll see if we can grab it on the swing. It did grab. Cool. So I believe this one is the only one to not grab. I'm going to try to change the angle here. Okay, it grabbed. Current angle is like -2. Okay, that's fine. And let's go ahead and warp to this burn. And hope that we can actually make this happen. Oh, that's moved very far off. Okay. Physics krakening is happening. Let's try to get that under control. Maybe. Yeah, this is definitely krakening. Hopefully it will settle as we get to our burn point. Things appear to be largely under control, but warping is the complicated part with this at this point. I'm going to turn RCS on to try to stabilize us faster and get us turned in here. And I'm not sure if this grabbing unit is grabbed or not, but I'm going to control from here now. Okay. And let's get this thing turned. Our burn starts in 25 seconds, and it's going to be awkward. I'm going to release some pressure over here to help us turn. Okay, I'm going to release additional pressure over here. Cool. We'll start our burn in a few seconds in theory, but we need to bring this down even further. That's more like it. 2, 1, and we'll begin our burn. We're ever so slightly off, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so at this point, hopefully we can hold here. I'm going to quick save in case we have more kraken. And we're just going to attempt to get this burn done, but we are definitely drifting off node. There's no doubt about that. This is going to be a very tedious process. Especially if resetting the physics does this every time. Okay. Oof. You know, if there was a way to do it, the way that I would do this is I would just set us in this orbit at the designated time. And I would deduct the delta V. Because the only reason that this isn't working well is because of the physics engine, right? In reality, this would work reasonably well, assuming these clamps clamped appropriately, but that would be the only real assumption there. But we can start trying to push this thing a bit here and there. And if we don't necessarily make this exact encounter, that's maybe not the worst thing. It's going to be difficult. Considering how much torque we have over this way. Yeah. So there's that. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. And we'll start always pulling that direction, I think. Out of curiosity, what if we were to release these? And just not use these exterior ones. The answer is we have a lot of swivel from here. Okay. Well, we'll see how this goes. I don't expect it to go tremendously well. But I may end up having to do some of this off camera, which would mean, like, in between episodes. I think we're better with them grabbed on. I really do. But this is probably going to end up being off camera, in reality. Just because of physics issues and timing. Physics issues and timing, mostly. Let's hold here and position at this location. And let's try to push this and see what happens with only the one grabber. Is this actually holding? Maybe. This might be holding position. Let's take a look at our maneuver mode here. We can see that we are overstressing our pitch and our yaw now. So it's not holding. Okay. But the actual... Oh man, resetting that physics sucks. We reset it again, and it still sucks. Okay. So we've definitely got some, like, physics wacky bugs going on here. I think there's no doubt about that one. No doubt about that one in my mind. But we will get into this orbit, or I'll die trying. One or the other. That is for sure. We're going to keep going for the moment, and we're attempting to make our way around to the target point again. But we're barely getting anything before we're drifting off. And I think, again, that's because we're not exactly on the center of mass. But that's fine. So we'll bring this in. We have a nice encounter here. I wish that there was a way that we could go in here and just set our orbit to the maneuver orbit. That's nice, because we don't actually have the we don't actually have this information for the maneuver, I don't think. We can go into maneuver mode here, advanced orbital info, and this is just our current info, not our post-burn info. So that's the thing. That said, there is a way that we can do this, now that I think about it. We know that we are going to be 16.9 kilometers apart if we were able to actually nail this. We've got big physics issues right now. But if we were able to actually nail this, we know we'd be 16.9 kilometers apart. And we know that we would expend approximately 787 plus, let's see here, 677.3. 677.3. So that would be 1,464.3 delta V. And what we have right now is 1568 in this tank. So that means that we'd have 103.7 left over to work with after this burn, assuming we weren't having physics issues. So what we can do here, because the physics is not cooperating and is going all over the place, what we could do here is we could simply set this at 16,900 and rendezvous the mining station, the mining ring station, here, like this. And then we know that we have 103.7 meters per second of delta V to work with. So the question is, how do we make that? Like, how do we put in a record of that? We can move some fuel out of here and into here. But I don't think that actually helps. I mean, it helps a little. I could just burn essentially randomly out here until we're at 103.7. That is an option. So in that case, I'd quick save here, and we would burn fundamentally randomly. We go ahead and physics warp, and this is going to go all over. Like, this is going to be wild. Absolutely wild. Is there any way to set fuel amounts in here? I don't think so. I wish that there was. Yeah, these are just the contracts currently. There's our database here. Parts, props, internals, resources. Yeah, I don't think that's super useful. We can do this, though. This is an option. And then we would set it once our relative velocity got to the right point. So I can make a note here to do this off camera. So text document and burn to 103.7 dV in nuclear tanks. Like that. And that moving our fuel here didn't change this, although it would eventually. But yeah, we're just going to randomly spin here, and I think I'll just do this for a little while, and then we will put ourselves in the orbit that we found. The only reason I can't actually get us into that orbit is because physics is being really weird and glitchy, right? I mean, I understand that we're going to drift off, but when we reset, it jumps all over, and there's some physics krakens going on here for sure. But we found a legitimate orbit, and now we're just trying to get our delta V down to the relevant point. That's the goal here. So that'll be great, and we're just going to burn this off, and when we come back in the next episode, we will be at the orbit that we located with our maneuver planner, or very close to it. So that'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, a bit of a shorter episode, but physics issues and timing issues abound. So we're just going to burn off this delta V, and we're going to pretend like we executed the maneuver the way that we drew it up. That's going to be the plan here. For now, you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and all the rest. And, of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time. That was definitely the wrong button. We're still doing this.